The launch of the Jaguar F-Type has been one of the most eagerly awaited events on the motoring calendar. But then one could argue that Jaguar has been building sports cars for 75 years, and this is simply the latest in a long and illustrious line. But the real reason for the hype around the F-Type is that it's supposed to be the successor to the Jaguar E-Type, which means it has big boots to fill.
It's taken Jaguar a very long time to come up with a successor to the E-Type, and the good news is that it's been worth the wait. The F-Type is more compact, more aggressive and more purposeful than the larger XK it is based on. For now, the ragtop is the only option, but there is a choice of 3 engines, and the example under scrutiny here is the top dog V8S flagship.
Those who expected the new F-Type to be a reinterpretation of the classic E-Type will be disappointed, because this is a thoroughly modern 21st century sports car. It's pared down, it's muscular, it's certainly purposeful, but it's also instantly recognizable as a Jaguar.
While the primary shape expresses passion and performance, the details provide further, more specific clues to the F-Type's personality. Large, hungry air intakes, a retractable rear wing, big black 20-inch alloys with equally beefy brake calipers, and a quartet of throaty exhaust tailpipes. The rear execution, with its sharp edges and fine-lined taillight clusters, is an unexpected highlight, while the lightweight canvas hood opens electrically in just 15 seconds.
The F-Type is a 2-seater roadster, but Jaguar describes the cabin as a 1+1. And what it means by that is that it's very much a driver-focused space. The ergonomics wrap themselves around the driver, and they really invite you to experience intimately the car to the absolute max.
To Jaguar's credit, even the abundance of switches, controls and buttons doesn't get in the way of the interface between car and driver, and there is a lovely reassuring heft to the way the switchgear feels and works. It exudes the kind of tactile appeal usually associated with bespoke supercars. Contoured bucket seats feel as comfortable and supportive as they look, while those pop-up air vents add a novel touch to the otherwise function-focused layout.
F-Type buyers get to choose between 3 engines. There's a brace of 3-litre V6s and this Big Daddy 5-litre V8, all 3 of them supercharged. As far as the V6s are concerned, 2 states of tune, 250 kilowatt, 450 newton meters for the so-called junior version, and then the slightly more powerful 280 kilowatt, 460 newton meters for the V6S. As far as this one's concerned, 364 kilowatt and 625 newton meters, and in all 3 cases the transmission is an 8-speed automatic.
The gearbox is an interesting choice given the F-Type's undiluted sports car positioning and the fact that dual-clutch transmissions have effectively become the norm. However, quick shifts and impressive refinement seem to vindicate the decision to stick with an auto. If anything, the smooth, almost imperceptible downshifts are too meek and mild for a fire-breathing roadster such as this.
So, how fast is fast? This V8S version does the 0-100 time in 4.3 seconds, which is certainly pretty rapid. Top speed 300 kilometers an hour, which is very fast indeed. But consider the fact that this is a 364 kilowatt car, that it weighs 1.66 tons and therefore has a power to weight ratio of 217 kilowatt. And you get the sense that there's a lot of inertia, a lot of momentum here. So it's very quick, but this is a car that tends to understate how rapid it really is.
The V8S gathers speed with startling ease. Full throttle acceleration is almost brutally intense, while the rear wheels will always struggle for grip if you're too impatient with the loud pedal. Unlike the larger XKR, relaxed cruising is not an option. The F-Type is always champing at the bit, always demanding that you explore the capabilities of a chassis tuned for sporty, committed driving.
With an all-aluminium monocoque, double wishbone suspension front and rear, and large 20-inch wheels, you'd expect this car to handle really well. And it does. In dynamic mode, though, the suspension stiffens up to the extent that the car feels a little bit nervous, and if you're not careful with what you do power-wise, you can get it to step out. I have to say that I prefer running, certainly from a suspension point of view, the car in normal mode. The damping is a lot better, the car feels more composed, and it is effectively more entertaining.
The Jaguar's driving character can be tailored to suit personal preference and road conditions, and that includes the exhaust, which can be opened up to trumpet the F-Type's considerable talents very clearly. But most of all, this is a sports car through and through, a thoroughbred that goes, sounds, and yes, looks the part.
The question posed by the new Jaguar F-Type is not whether it's the spiritual successor to the E-Type, nor whether it is a true dyed-in-the-wool sports car. The quandary facing buyers here is the fact that the F-Type comes in different flavours. We've been driving this V8S flagship, and it is a magnificent vehicle in every respect. But it could also be true that the nimbler, smaller engine V6 might be the more balanced choice. The bottom line is that the F-Type is a great car, and the F is short for fun, formidable, and fantastic.
The loudest and best-sounding iteration of Jaguar's supercharged V8 provides generous urge, with the big rear wheels the only recipients. The result is a real sports car with a challenging streak. Striking coachwork and all the mod cons add further appeal, but it can be a handful, and it deserves a sportier gearbox.